So I want to hand this back over to Mark, if I can find him. Here he is. And he's muted.
Okay, I also have another screen that needs to screen share on. I logged in from the computer over here.
Okay, and I can do that. So with this one, let me see.
Okay, do you see that?
I do see that. Okay.
So these are live measurements in pounds. I found the problem in the end. There was a software update with Apple, and the app is no longer compatible. But look, I lift that up, and we're down to near zero. You're just seeing the weight of the sample. Okay, yeah. So we'll start by just pouring the liquid nitrogen in over here. I'm going to make a little space for it. This is the same experiment we were running before. Just now we'll actually get some weight measurements. Also, I asked him to keep everyone's mic unmuted. So if anyone wants to ask any questions while this is cooling down or anything, feel free to chime in. Hopefully my microphone's going to be working properly. It's going to take a couple of minutes for this to cool down. It is a pretty large superconductor.
Okay, and Mark, I think I have this set up correctly. So I have spotlighted your video and then spotlighted the Falcon Space Lab. Yeah, that looks right. And so what I'm seeing is, for me, I am seeing the Dewar and your superconductor on the right-hand side of my screen and the weight on the left.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably seeing something different because I'm the
yeah.
presenter. You shouldn't see any weight on it right now because I took the mug off so I could actually make the pour. There just wasn't any room.
Now, if I could ask, what is it that you're pouring that into? What's holding the superconductor? There, it looks like actually, it looks like a Chinese muffin, but I know that's.
Oh, so what it is it's a foam cup that I heated up and sort of squished it in on itself toward the top. So it's like a cocoon of foam that's surrounding the superconductor. This way, when the superconductor starts to spin,
it won't spin out. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be trapped in there in a reservoir.
That was what I was worried about because I didn't want that to get in your eyes or your skin.
I'm more worried about these heavy magnets flying off and smashing the screen of my laptop or hitting me in the chest or whatever.
Or well, that too. We'll have a betting pool about, you know, what hurts you worse. No, I'm just kidding. So don't hurt yourself on air.
So far it was the X-ray microwaves, the X-band microwaves. Yeah, those are not fun. We're getting there. We're not fully superconducting yet. This superconductor is pretty large. It weighs a couple of ounces, maybe like even half a pound. It's a pretty large superconductor, so it takes quite a bit of liquid nitrogen to cool it down properly. See it in from that angle. It's bubbling vigorously. You really don't want to move it while it's in this position because it's getting locked. The field lines from the magnets are getting locked inside the superconductor, and we want to maximize that effect as much as possible so that it really like attaches to the disk apparatus. When it's locked in properly, I should feel it. No, not there yet. The plastic is making like some scary sounds. I wonder if it's getting brittle from the temperature changes. No, it's not there yet. It's going to take a little bit longer. Oh shit, that's cold. Okay, now we're there. Let's put a little bit more in for good measure. It takes a lot of liquid nitrogen to get this superconductor cooled down. It's quite a large YCBO. Okay, so our weight is stable, and while I was putzing around with it, I figured out how to get it in scale measurement in pounds. So we have something to base it off of. Now I'm just going to start off with a simple spin up. We're not taking into account any air currents or anything, so we'll just see what happens when we spin it up. We get an RPM measurement. We're at around 1,000 RPM. 750, 800, 900, 1,000. Shaking pretty bad. Not so sure I want to go much faster than this, especially in this setup. It is shaking quite a bit.
Have you got a spare bar magnet? Spare bar magnet?
Yes, I do.
Is there any way you could try a different orientation? So rather than the sort of plane of the rotation, if you try something more axial or at an angle directed at it, could you try that, please?
You know, if I could offer a
Like
suggestion,
holding the thing in your hand, yeah, the thing in your hand, yeah. Just curious.
I think that I think that Pogvanov applied an RF frequency to it, right? A megahertz RF frequency, kilohertz RF.
I don't know. I don't have a megahertz RF frequency generator right now. That's coming on Tuesday. I got a couple of those. I'm going to try this as well. This is another version that we thought of trying, which is just to hold that steady. The problem is I'm touching the cup. Oh, fuck. I'm going to need a different glove for this. Try to hold it steady there while spinning it through the field. The issue is the liquid nitrogen is seeping in. It's freezing up the foam pretty well, so you get a frostbite burn pretty fast in this configuration. So you need some PPE to hold it. Okay, let's stabilize that. Pour a little bit more liquid nitrogen in there just to keep it going. Now, in this setup, I'm going to hold the superconductor steady with the magnetic fluxes flying through it. Let's see if the okay, so the scale measurement is stabilizing.
Sorry to cut in, but you said you've got the magnets moving with the rotation. You said you want to try other scenarios where the magnets aren't traveling with the
Yeah, that's what I'm
superconductor.
doing.
Yeah, if you've got a spare bar magnet, just wave it around, see what it does. Try it in the plane and try it actually, just sort of up and down, sort of over the range of 90 degrees from the
Might be something
axis.
happening, but I can't. The thing is, my hand is too close to it. I might be touching it. I'm confident I'm not seeing anything here.
Try it without the superconductor and also let everything warm up and try it without the superconductor and see if it's just the magnetic field reacting with the cup.
Oh, you can just put the magnet on the superconductor on the side. Let's try that.
Because the cold air is changing there because of liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Mark, I think if nothing else, this is probably a historic first in terms of experiments.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary. I've had one of these explode before. These things are scary.
Also, without the superconductor there, you need to move the cup closer to the magnets because the superconductor had a flux field pinned in it, which made it fields closer to the cup.
That's a good point. That's about as close as I can get it without adjusting the thing too much. Let's try that. Oh, shit. Here, we can get a live RPM measurement. We're at 1200 RPM, 13, 16, 1700, 1780, 1900, 1800 RPM.
The way you're holding that controller, if you just wave the magnet around like that from 90 degrees to the axis, up to the axis, I'm just curious to see what happened.
1 second. Is this with the cup in place or without?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let me give myself a little space. So you want the superconductor in the in there, and I'm doing something with
No,
it.
if you could somehow hold it with your hand, like you're holding the controller, and if you sort of rotated the controller so it's parallel with the axis, and if you brought it down perpendicular to the axis, I just want to see the effect of an
Here,
external.
I got a bar magnet. What am I doing with the bar magnet?
That's not rotating with it. And if you
And-
vary
and-
the angle, yeah, just curious.
And
I mean,
Mark,
I
Mark, with no disrespect to NASA, maybe the problem is that it's a NASA cup because that won't work, right? So
Oh.
that, yeah, you may need a different cup. It could be just that it, you
I don't know, Tony, what do you think of that?
I heard they're cursed with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's bad mojo.
I worked for NASA, but I didn't like NASA.
Do you think their cup is cursed too? I have a shot glass. Maybe
It's
that'll work.
a NASA shot glass. I'm sure it would.
I don't collect
You can
NASA.
feel the
NASA
domains. It's
stuff,
pretty cool.
so.
Like you can feel the domains here. It'll stick to here, but it won't stick to here. Gets pushed away. Yeah, the domains are in there. They're locked in. I mean, you got to kind of feel it with your hands, but the domains of the setup we have here are locked in place. I'm gonna try this one more time. Try to get those switching domains. See what happens.
Now, was there a reason to try and lock domains into it? Or-
I think that was the way that Podklanov got it to spin. He wasn't using magnets per se. He was using like electromagnetic coils, I believe.
It sounded like he was turned the coils on while he was cooling it down. They were wrapped from the center hole to the outer hole. And so it pinned the field in there. And then he three-phased the coils so they acted against that pinning flux to get it to rotate. That's the way it sounded to me.
Ah,
Well, Mark, that's an interesting experiment. And right now, I'm sure there's a lot of experimenters salivating like hungry dogs to be doing what you're doing right now.
Well, they're welcome to come to Hawthorne, New Jersey and, join me with frostbite. I need some better way to hold this thing. It really is. It gets through everything, the cold. But I don't think I've seen anything so far. Give it one more shot. Sort of shaking like a diaphragm of a speaker. And the weight loss that you're seeing is from my finger that I just simply can't get out of the way. Probably to do this experiment properly, you're gonna need some sort of apparatus to hold the superconductor in place. Like a clamp or something. Or actually I have a pair of this might not get stuck to the magnets, but oh, look at that. Okay, that works. Great. Now I could get the human element out of it. Stop freezing my hands. Pour a little bit more liquid nitrogen on it. Oh. Okay. This is the correct setup that we need. Definitely vibrating. Superconductor, that is. Not seeing any weight loss. Oh, there you go. It's about as fast as it can go. Wow. Any other suggestions? Where'd the superconductor go? Tim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think my superconductor went flying with that last spin up. I gotta find it now.
I think this is really interesting. I mean, maybe somebody else has done it, but I've never seen anybody do live superconductor on YouTube before.
We've done it before, but we've actually done live experiments with superconductors.
Oh, well,
before.
that is a point. You did the power one, right? Where you blew it up.
Yeah, it wasn't really done correctly, but we gave that an attempt as well. And yeah, when you do it live, you usually show all the fuck ups. And
Mark, what happens if you put the bar magnet in the cup while you're
you want me to stick a bar magnet in the cup?
in the cup? Yeah, just stick it in there.
It'll probably start to spin with it.
Well, the weight should go up, right?
Well, it did.
And then the cup starts to vibrate.
Yeah. Now the cup seems to be more.
Let's see what happens.
Well, but if the magnet is vibrating, that's probably going to miscalibrate the scale, right?
Can you hear the magnet moving in the cup, or is it moving with the cup?
It's moving with the cup. thing is too off balance right now.
It does seem like it's oscillating.
Yeah, let me try to rest that oscillation and see if we can get it steady.
There you go.
Let me get that.
It's the cup. It's jinxed. I told you. It's
The cup's turning with the magnet.
Yeah,
That's cool. So it's obviously communicating with the cup now.
now the magnet's starting to flick around inside. I don't know what just changed.
well, maybe the flux of the magnet in the cup is pinning to the superconductor. Maybe
So-
that's what changed.
Try spinning it, adjusting the rotational speed and see if you can sync the two.
They're spinning in the same direction.
I hear the magnet moving in the cup.
Yep. Yep, yeah, you could hear it.
So you know the magnetic field is within the distance of the inside of the cup.
That's right. Well, that's
But
magnet to
that-
magnetic field.
That magnetic flux should change depending on the speed that you're spinning the disc, because you've got the bar magnets on the disc are changing direction, right?
Uh-huh.
Every 90 degrees. How many?
Every 60 degrees.
Every 60 degrees.
It seems at a certain point it just loses it.
Yeah, so at some point it's in sync, at another point it's out of sync. So there's a phase. There's a phase there. That you
Yeah,
gotta
I think it's just
right
the weight of the cup throwing it off.
Yeah, there you go. So if you go slow, it's easier to get, but if you go too fast, it loses it, right?
Something like that, yeah. Here, yeah, at this point, it's this speed, it's pretty much lined up
So-
with it.
Make this cup still and then start it again. So now look, it's like oscillating on its own.
Mark, while we have you on, let me ask about you mentioned September 8th. Can you tell-
September 20th, I'm gonna be going to the to that conference, the Interstellar Research Group in Tucson, Arizona. Okay, I'm gonna put this away. It's starting to it's pretty out of balance right now. The superconductors. Anyone have any other suggestions of what to try?
Hey, Mark, is the movement of the cup similar to something like a gravity-magnetic frame dragging? You know, the interaction between the magnet, you know, the superconductor and the cap, the material, the magnetic lines interacting with the cup. Would that be something similar?
I don't think so. That was just the reason why it was interacting with the cup was because we put a magnet inside the cup. Before that, we weren't seeing much interaction with the cup.
So the two magnetic fields are interacting with each other.
Yeah, there's actually several magnetic fields here that were interacting with the magnetic field of the superconductor as it was spinning around. And we didn't see any weight loss in the cup during that segment.
So you're measuring the weight lost in the cup.
Yeah, we're measuring for weight loss in the cup. That's
So
right.
it simply is pulling down the cup.
Yeah, the
or
cup is
gaining
on
weight.
a measuring tool over there. That's
Okay,
hooked up to a computer, which is behind me over on that side. It's a Windows computer. And that's where it's giving us this weight measurement. So if I lifted up the cup, the weight measurement drops to almost
Got
zero.
it.
That's what you're looking at here. So we want to see how much the NASA Huntsville mug weighs.
without the magnet, is there any movement in the cap itself?
Are I didn't see, I mean, you can scroll back on the videos and watch them yourself. You were just watching it with me live, so you can figure that out yourself. But there was also a lot of me touching the cup with my index finger until I got the prongs in place. So there was a couple variables. There was also bits of air current because this thing is not, there's no insulation between the two layers. So there's a couple variables that would affect that. If we did see any weight loss or weight gain, but we didn't really see much. So there's that. Also, this disc, this superconducting disc is way smaller than what Pop used.
Oh, sorry. I think Harold was getting some background noise. Yeah, so September 20th, that's the Interstellar Conference. And I believe that's Richard Obusi and Icarus and a lot of those fellows, right?
It's one second. If I can do a share screen over
So
here.
maybe we can try and do something live from that. I mean, we did
That would
TeslaTech.
be-
That would,
Yeah, that would be really cool. Actually, they have a very in-depth program. Like they're doing nearly they have like a presenter every 20 minutes there, which is pretty amazing that they're able to do that. One second. You can turn off the share screen for the weight. Can you do that on your end?
yeah.
Okay, and now I'm going to share a screen over here and we can talk about the Interstellar Research Group. So
The Interstellar guys are doing their own online stuff, so they might see you doing something against what they're doing. So make sure you talk with them first before you film anything.
Oh yeah, I actually was invited from one of the founders of the Interstellar Research Group to come join them.
I have a poster session on Saturday and Sunday there. I'll probably get there late Friday evening or in the afternoon,
okay.
hopefully.
Okay, I heard a couple other people we know are going to be there as well, so it should be pretty interesting.
The
one of
NIAC conference got canceled though. That was before that.
Oh, really? That's great because I was didn't have time for the NIAC conference, but they did have, there's like another small session later that said NIAC on it.
Yeah, some of that NIAC stuff that they have in there may not happen if the NIAC people don't show up. So don't know yet what's going to happen.
This is one of the ones I was most interested in is Mark Millis breakthrough propulsion study. Definitely want to talk to him. Again, the Interstellar Research Group is very academic and mainstream. You're dealing with people who are talking about solar sail stuff that are already being used, or just lots of theoretical stuff as well. That there's not much of the anti-gravity and that kind of talk going on.
Now they're mainstream. If you're trying to do something new and radical, they won't let you. I was surprised they even let me be there this year, but it's just a poster session. And several of the other posters are theoretical. So maybe they're trying to try that out and see what happens.
I'm also excited to meet Avi Loeb, who's going to be giving a keynote speech they gave him a full 40 minutes.
I'm excited I have met so many people who have recommended him and his work. I mean, I've just
I think I'll really connect with him because he's an Israeli from Jerusalem, just like me.
He's also, I think he's also open-minded. He seems open-minded and balanced on the UAP topic. And that's something that I think is desperately needed, right?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we desperately need. And I'll try to reach out to the mainstream people and show them what's going on here at APEC, try to get them involved in some way or another. In a way, Avi Loeb's Project Galileo, to look through the telescope and see what's available. How about you have a Project Galileo just looking online and looking at all these patents that have been filed that have never been tried, that claim to, that we already know how these experiments work, how these craft work. So there's another aspect to his project. Also, notice the timeline over here. People are giving speeches for 20 minutes. I've never seen such a packed schedule before. It's really, really intense. Tony, when are you speaking again?
I'm not speaking. They let me do a poster.
Tony,
speak.
could you describe what you mean by poster?
I get to make a picture that they put on a easel, and I get to stand there and talk about it as people come by.
Oh, okay.
What, maybe Mark, maybe you could help him. So when people get close, you grab them and you put them in front of Tony. That's
That's the plan. Yeah,
yeah, we'll strong arm the conference. Be like,
we can
no,
do-
you need to see this booth. No, wrong way. This booth. Turn around, sir. To
Yeah.
talk
Well,
to this gentleman here.
I'm more interested in the people doing posters than I am on the rest of the conference. The rest of the conference to me is just garbage. It's just talking about what you do once you get to a planet. And it's like, well, we haven't even got to a planet. Why talk about this stuff?
Well,
yeah.
so
I agree
Tony,
with Tony.
you're going to be in the what are they had that at STAFE. It's like a presentation, not a presentation area. It's the, what do they call that? I'm thinking lobby. That's not the right word. Exhibits.
Exhibits, yeah, sort of.
Well, that honestly, my impression has been at these conferences, that's where the real excitement is anyways. You know, because with the exhibits.
Maybe we could do one for APEC. Can you like design an APEC poster, like one of the ones that like a 2x4 or something like that, 2 horizontal, 4 vertical, and we could just talk about APEC and get people involved. Try to get more mainstream people on.
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a poster. I got plenty to do.
Oh no, I was talking to Tim.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah.
Tony, what are you going to be working on there?
It's hopefully it's a more in-depth stuff on my paper I've been writing. I've already got the poster done, which pretty much relates to the paper I've already written, but Sam Reed is supposed to be helping put some more meat into the paper. So I hope the paper that I have there to go along with the poster has more meat to it, but we'll see. Sam's been kind of slow.
Yeah, Sam is the CEO of like 7 different companies and counting.
Yeah.
Yeah, his time is very stretched.
Yeah, I've been trying to get them to help pull a conference together, and it's just hard to get them to do anything, help with it.
For those who don't know, Sam Reed is also sending a satellite to the moon using crypto as payment, Dogecoin as payment. Yeah, so Dogecoin is making it to the moon with Sam Reed.
Once this COVID crap gets done, I plan on flying up there to Calgary, Canada, and visit their company up there. But this COVID's put a stop to everything.
You know, and if I could, yeah, I just want to make
Chantel will be there at the conference too.
I'm in the Seattle area, and in Washington State, I'm not sure why, the Delta variant is moving very rapidly. And so it's also like Texas and Florida, you know. So if you're in one of those states, if you're not vaccinated yet, definitely consider getting vaccination. You know, we're going back into masks, and we may be going back into lockdown up here.
I was out at Midland, Texas back before the TeslaTech, and we drove up there from Midland, Texas up to Albuquerque for TeslaTech and stopped by Roswell. I was disappointed that I couldn't find a flying saucer dealership there.
Yeah, they're going out of business.
Yeah, I know.
Mark, I put a couple of poster images in chat. You can take a look at those.
Oh, okay. Sweet. I'll check that out. So anyways, this is what's going on there at Interstellar Research Group. It's at the Marriott Hotel, and they're giving people these 20-minute slots to talk about breakthrough propulsion study, an overview and plan of interstellar mission study with a novel velocity drive fusion propulsion concept. A lot of this stuff is, you know, far out ideas that will never happen. Some of it's stuff that already happened, like the solar sails. There is an overview of NIAC, NASA Innovative Advanced Concepts Program. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to them as well. And
Yeah, I mean, if we're able to, on that Saturday, if you're going to be there, I would love to do spot interviews like we did for TeslaTech. On the
yeah,
Saturday.
that would be pretty cool if we can set that up.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
Saturday the 25th. Do we have? Yeah, we're scheduled for the 25th, right?
Well, we can be, actually. I haven't really set a schedule up for September yet, but
Yeah, we can. I'll probably grab some interesting people and maybe like 4. Yeah, that's like 5 o'clock, 5 to 7 p.m. Arizona time would probably work. See, in the afternoon, and I'll be able to grab some people. I don't know if Jeremy Rys is coming down as well.
are they
Jeremy-
going to be there in Phoenix? Is that where you're going?
Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Tucson's actually cooler than Phoenix. It's not as hot.
And it's plus it's going to be late September, so things should be cooling down by then.
Well, not in Arizona.
Here, this guy's going to talk about how to get to Alpha Centauri and what to expect when we do. Of course, they're all assuming that it's going to take lifetimes and that we have to worry about, you know, multi-generational spacecraft. So this entire conference is mostly based off of, you know, suppositions that we don't think are true. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it will be interesting if you'd like to attend. I would love to do spot interviews. You know, I'm happy to work this end of it if you want to try and do something live.
Yeah, I sure will. Is Jeremy Rys here? We were going to talk about TeslaTech and what happened there, and we also went down to see Roswell, the crash site.
Let me see if Jeremy's still here.
Oh,
Jeremy is.
Oh, Jeremy. Jeremy, can you unmute yourself?
There he is.
Yeah, I'm still here, Mark. I have all my TeslaTech videos on the other computer. I was just wanted to maybe I don't know. I'm still editing them all down. I want to make like a highlights reel and like a promotion and a thing for next year. We didn't have the turnout at TeslaTech as we had hoped this year because of COVID. But hopefully next year we can have more people show up to that. It was a pretty cool conference, but again, I feel like a couple people that were going to go and display some stuff held back because of all the happenings and everything going on. So yeah, that was the unfortunate part. But it's still a fun conference, and it was a pleasure to get to meet up with some of you there.
Now, if it's okay to ask, one of the things, and see, I know this because you guys told me, but I think most of the folks in our conference don't realize, after TeslaTech, after you guys finished doing spot interviews, you bought a bunch of used equipment from the Air Force, and then you went to Roswell. So those were the things I thought it would be interesting to kind of share with folks.
Oh, okay. I actually have a couple pictures that I can show. Let me see if I can figure out how to do the share screen. And here, these are just some pictures that I took on my phone that will upload to the computer. So this was our booth, quote unquote, at TeslaTech. We got the all propulsion sign up there, and anyone who was building shit just threw it on the table. We got Aiden's stuff over there, and at one point there was this kid playing with Lego. I asked him to make a Tesla coil out of the Lego, and that ended up on our alternative propulsion engineering conference table. It was a a Tesla coil made out of Lego. It was kind of cute. This was some like overstock store that me and Aiden stopped by. This wasn't the one that Jeremy's talking about that we went to later. And they just had tons of random shit for sale at like rock bottom prices. And look who I met, Mike Gamble. We were checking out, and there's Tony as well. We were checking out the Gravity Flyers. Over
okay. So those are actually those are Russell's Gravity Flyers then.
Yeah, those are Russell's Gravity Flyers.
Neat.
And yeah, this is the presentation room. Kind of looks like here's Russell playing some guitar later. Then I set up this device, the gyroscope contraption with the ping pong balls underneath it. Moved around a little bit, but I think there was a lot of stiction on the floor and it wasn't built properly. We're going to be rebuilding a similar device using much larger gyros and stronger servos. That's going to be coming hopefully in the next month or so. Actually, me and Mike actually had a conversation before APEC. We were discussing servo types and motors and all that kind of, you know, nitty gritty details on how to do it right. It's more, this is the, you can order the DVDs. He still sells DVDs. That's where he makes a lot of the money. And I was taking a lot of pictures with a Polaroid camera, just to give everyone a view. And oh, this was the reseller of high-end equipment from like Sandia Labs and Los Alamos and stuff. So during one of the presentations, I was looking for an RF amplifier in the 400 megahertz range, like that's like around 30 centimeters, or up to around a gig. And there was only one place in the country that just listed it for sale. They had 6 of them in stock, and it was located right there in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the only place in the country. So I went down there and saw what they had. It turns out they had a lot of equipment that we could have used. So ended up getting some stuff. Here's Aiden Schaefer, Jeremy and me.
We didn't get
Brandon
any
did his
stuff
stuff.
physically that day. We basically put it on a pallet and we're gonna have it shipped out to the lab.
Right. Well, we actually went
but-
back there again because they had more stuff that they were going to bring in.
Those amplifiers that they had, which were in the microwave range that we wanted to experiment in, were built by a custom company called Space International too. I wish I had the video of that right in front of me, but I don't. Yeah, that company was really interesting that we found it on there. The guy said he'd never seen anything like it before, and he thought it was almost a proprietary company that was like right out of Sandia or Los Alamos that built stuff specifically for their equipment and stuff out there. There was a lot of EG&G equipment as well that we found. So like a lot of real interesting stuff that might have been used for all kinds of classified work. Who knows? But
Okay, and this is us in the executive suite. Alien Girl showed up and Russell was playing music. And here's a whole bunch of pictures that were taken.
oh, Brenda was in the chat too. There's Brenda's here in the chat too.
Oh, sweet. Oh, we'll go back to that picture then for a second.
Mark,
in the
are
live
those
chat.
Polaroid selfies?
Oh, yes, I was taking Polaroids and handing them out. to
Polaroid
people.
selfies? That's so retro, man. That's
Yeah.
weirdly retro.
Okay, and this is Jeremiah Ferwerda, who was working on his Tesla turbine device. And here's the medical marijuana store. They kicked me out for taking a picture.
That's
here
an
is
illegal
one-
picture. You're not even supposed to have that.
Oh, shut up. So this is Brent from Kepler, and we were here with the whole Kepler team. This is all the stuff that I purchased. I got a vacuum pump and 3 amplifiers on a pallet. So that's my pallet of shit. And there you can see Brandenburg back there, and Jeremy's interviewing him. So I want to get that footage from that conversation over there. 'Cause that
Oh,
was-
interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, you can just make them out. Yeah, well, thank
Yeah.
you for showing these photos. This is
Oh,
interesting. See,
and here's the good part. Then we went out to the crash site, and we basically just went to these coordinates, and there's like freaking nothing there. It's just rocks and dirt, and there was this this like little ditch in the ground, so we assume that's probably related. And we snapped a whole bunch of pictures, assuming that it was the spot. It definitely was within like 100 meters of it. Carry them out, a couple.
you know what? I think I've seen that rock wall in videos.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that rock wall you guys were at, I think I've seen that in videos about Roswell. Yeah, that one.
So it could be we're in the right spot. I mean, there is
Yeah, no,
no
it's like that low
markings.
rock wall and
There
supposedly
is, there's no markings whatsoever, telling you what's going on over here. But
maybe that was the UFO. Maybe it was spoofing, right? Like they were talking about spoof, it was camouflaged as a rock wall.
could be. I mean, this is where the GPS coordinates led us. We met the neighbor who was there, and that was like some real freak coincidence that we met somebody there, because you're in the middle of nowhere. We haven't seen a car in half an hour driving 80 miles an hour down a highway. And then suddenly we reach the spot, and there's the neighbors locking up his gate to the property. And Jeremy, I rolled down the window and started talking to him, and Jeremy caught that on video. So we actually have video and audio of me talking to the neighbor, asking him what's up. And he told us exactly where the site was, or how to get there roughly. And he said there's not much to see. And they took the plaque and moved it to Roswell. So there's not really much there. And maybe it'll become a historic site, but there's nothing out there. There's no utilities, there's no water, there's no nothing out there. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Did you try to measure any magnetic fluctuations in the area?
We didn't have any tools with us, no.
I couldn't bring anything on the plane. I don't know anyone out there that has stuff, but it would be nice to go out there with the whole place has been swept clean with metal detectors anyway. And but I was thinking maybe we took a couple samples and I tried looking through them for any signs of nanotech, and I haven't found anything so far. I might send them off to another lab and have them looked at. But again, I really wish we had planned it out a little. It was hard without a guide going out there your first time. So I might put this video together as a guide of just, how to find the site. And
I mean, we had the neighbor. We should have. I should have continued talking to him for a little bit, offered him some money to take us to the site. Because that was
I
golden.
know, right? We should have capital. That was gold, man. That guy was you couldn't have found a better actor, man. The guy was perfect. He was cattleman.
It was literally locking up the gate as we showed up. And the GPS said we need to go through that gate, but he was like, no, it's over that way. Your coordinates are off a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think you guys had a really interesting trip. I think it was a really interesting trip. And like I was saying in chat, I think it's worth it to go there just that you said that you went there. You know what I mean? Even if you didn't, even if you're not tripping over UFO parts, it's still, you could say, hey, I did Roswell, on to the next one. So.
Well, you did the real Roswell. Most people who do Roswell just go to the museum in Roswell, which is many hours away. It's actually closer to Corona than it is to Roswell. But Corona is a nothing town, even today. We did a drive-through of Corona. It has one gas station, and the mini mart in the gas station is the grocery store for the entire town, and it closes at 5 p.m. It's like a 9 to 5 grocery store, one gas station for the entire town, and it's like, I think we drove through every single street in Corona in like 10 minutes or something like that.
Oh, okay. Somebody's, you know what? Here, somebody he put up the rock wall. Roswell crash site. He's at, okay. It's on my computer, not yours. Do you want me to share? Nah.
Oh, I see that.
You see that? That one looks okay. So that's not the same one I was pointing out.
That's not the same one that I saw, and I don't remember these big cactus plants here either.
Maybe the neighbor misdirected you. Was he like dressed in like, all in black suit, mysterious sunglasses?
No, he looked like a farmer.
Oh,
a rancher.
He's like, you are in the wrong place. It is not through this gate.
Yeah, so I was tracing back our steps a little bit too, and just looking at the roads of where we parked and a couple other things. And man, it's so confusing because there's so much land and so much area out there that you can explore. But I do I think if we weren't at the crash site, we were very, very close to it. Again, I don't know how much is left out there or how much it was really worth our trip, you know, but it was still cool just to go and say we went and to see it, you know.
Yeah, I think it was worth it. It's one of those bucket list things, you know. It's good. It's good to do just to say I did it, you know, and so. Well, guys, let me open it up for open discussion now. So let's do that. I think we're just about there. Okay. So actually, you know what? Here, let me put it on gallery view. And quickly, everyone, give Mark and Jeremy Rys a hand. We have photos, experiments, future plans. So you guys went through a lot of stuff. Let's put this on open discussion. And again, anybody, you know, just unmute yourselves as you know, and oh, and I see Ken there. Ken, you have your mask off. Oh, it's only for presenting. Wait, no, you don't have to put it back on. You don't have to put it back on.
Hey, Mark, was the gravity flyer you saw at TeslaTech the real working unit or just nothing?
No, that was that was Russell Anderson's attempts at making it work. No, those were not working units. I mean, they spun. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
From what I understand, he's published a lot of information, right? Alexi's put a lot out there, and then other people have tried to figure other pieces out. But from what I understand, you have to kind of go around and collect all that info and bring it together. It's not really in one place.
Yeah, I think the main issue with the gravity flyer device is getting a standing wave going on the center disk. And he's using a Tesla coil to do that. And I mean, there's a Slayer exciter circuit for a Tesla coil that allows it to be in resonance with whatever it's attached to a degree. But if you want it to be in proper resonance with the disk, just make a perfectly round disk and find its resonant frequency and vibrate at its resonant frequency as a resonance antenna from the center feed point. And that's what I plan to do with those amplifiers, the RF amplifiers that are coming in, you know, this coming week. I already cut out the copper discs that I plan on using as the to make the standing waves. And if you get a standing wave, it's basically just a magnetic field in space floating above the disk in one spot, not traveling anymore because it's standing. And if you can then latch onto that, you now have a hook to grab onto space-time with and move along.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. And then more superconductor, sounds like more superconductor experiments, right? So
yeah, I mean, we filled up on the liquid nitrogen, so we gotta get some superconductor experiments going now.
wait, how much liquid nitrogen do you have? Is it that little? What's enough? So that little container, isn't it?
It's 10 liters. 10 liters.
Oh, okay.
That's enough to run a couple experiments. Yeah, I probably barely put a dent in what I have right now. The thing is that it evaporates on its own. So if you don't use it, even if you didn't take a single drop out of it, it'll be gone within a month or two.
Yeah. But it stays at that same temperature, right? It stays below the transition point. So
oh, anything that doesn't stay below the transition point evaporates out. Yeah, it leaves.
So what's left is still cold after a couple of months. Yeah, that's cool.
After a couple of months, nothing's left. That's my point. Hey, Mike. Are you excited for our gyroscope experiment? Mike, you have to unmute.
Oh, Mike
Working
Gamble?
on it.
There's Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike,
well,
welcome
yeah,
back, sir.
Well, I've been sitting here. I've been doing some calculations, heading in that direction. I'll get you copies here as soon as I get it all prettied up.
So Mike, were they a wreck at TeslaTech? Because they look, you know, they tried to cover things up, but I mean, I don't know. It looked like they were partying pretty hard there.
Well, I was only in on a little of it. I did present there, and that went fairly well. They had some technical problems when they first started, but I pitched Saturday. So by the time they got around to Saturday, they had most of the bugs worked out, but it got off to a rocky start.
How many, do you have any idea what the attendance was for your presentation?
My presentation, maybe 50 to 80, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I think total there was like 150, 170 people there. It was down about half of what it usually was.
Yeah.
Normally it's like a couple hundred, 250, somewhere around there. They usually
Yeah.
pack that place pretty good.
That's surprising. Yeah, that you kind of surprised me. I mean, I went there back in like 2004, 5, something like that, and I think it was like 600 people one year.
Yeah, yeah. When they used to have it at the other hotel there when I first started going for Boeing there, and yeah, they'd pack the place.
Yeah. Well,
But,
still, it's
this COVID has kind of put a monkey wrench in there.
you know what? I think it's good. My wife had her projects she's doing too, and I've been telling her the same thing. I'm like, this is just me, but you know, it's right now in the summer, things seem kind of quiet. I'm like, get out there and do it. Have fun. Do the conferences, do the stuff. I'm not positive, but I have a feeling that we're going to spend this winter hiding again like we did last year. So
Well, if you live in Washington, they just clamped down on this place.
yeah, we're masks only. We're up at the border. Yeah, we're up in Blaine, masks only. And our daughter is not going back to school. Even last week, I thought she was, but we just hit a new record for cases.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, my wife, she just showed it to me. She's like, she's not going back to school, and I'm like, how can I argue with that? You know?
Yeah. Homeschool is taking over in this neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, you're down. Are you in Issaquah? No, you're
No, Puyallup, further down yet.
further south. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as population is as dense down there.
Well, it's still thick in here. So, we get the tail end of Seattle and Tacoma, which are everybody's moving out of there over here.
You guys had the fair too.
Yeah, we got the fair starting here another week. Yeah.
Oh, yours. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just up the hill from the fairgrounds.
Yeah. No, I've been in Puyallup a couple of times.
Yeah, and then getting ready for winter and got to butcher the beef and all the farm chores, get the place ready for winter. Speaking of that, when you want me to pitch again?
Well, it's up to you, sir. When would you like to?
Well, I'll go once a month like we were doing, and whenever you got a schedule there.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me make a note then. Let me make a note. Yeah, I'm pretty mellow. I don't know if you probably didn't hear, but I got my in fact, I took the whole family down. We got flu shots yesterday, and I just read that flu shots, I would not consider it an alternative to COVID vaccine, but they did a study that shows that flu shots apparently help a little bit with COVID resistance. And then the other part, the reason that we got them is I didn't want to drag our systems down with the flu and then have COVID sneak in, right?
Yeah.
So we did that, and I don't know if it's the vaccine or what, but that flu shot I woke up, I just feel beat up today, you know?
Yeah. Well,
I woke up looking for the guy who punched me out. That was one of those.
Well, I had to do some work overseas in that, and I went down, and before I went over there, I had to get a whole bunch of shots, and in order to go overseas, I was headed to Taiwan and that, and I got about a half dozen shots, and they didn't mix very well. And yeah, the boss, I got back to the shop, and he says, "You look more dead than alive."
Yeah. I mean, I guess that can happen sometimes, but yeah, the flu shots are out though, just so you guys all know. And I just read an article. It wasn't a doctor, but it was somebody saying he was recommending the same thing. He said it's best to have the flu shot, just try and get as immune to as much as possible, build up those immunities. You know, for a lot of folks, flu shot's free. If it's not free, it's only usually 20 to 40 bucks. So probably worth doing it. And then this Delta thing, again, we just hit new record for Washington State. So
Well, they're gonna milk that, you know, Delta, Delta plus, 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 and they'll just keep going that as long as they can. Name of the game is lock you down.
yeah, I mean, I think they'll do it as long as they think that they can get away with it. You know, then the question is how long can the economy take it, right? How long can people take it?
That's the second point, is to run the economy in the ground and make everybody dependent on the government. I mean, you got these eviction things going on now, legal battles on and off about evictions because nobody's paid the rent for a year.
Yeah, I had a lot of quiet time last year. I got back to work a couple of months ago. Actually, it's probably been closer to 4 months now, but you know.
Depends on what you're doing for work. During the whole pandemic, I was working a lot because construction's considered what do they call it?
A vital industry.
Critical work. They want to keep building houses.
I thought you were teaching, Michael. I thought you were. I thought you were teaching.
No, I'm an archaeologist. I watch people dig.
Oh, so you were doing? Wait, you were doing construction?
Yeah, well, it's archaeologists nowadays. They're not like Indiana Jones. They're watching a backhoe dig a hole and make sure they don't dig up your relative.
Oh, okay.
We're not looking for dinosaurs. We're looking for people.
Yeah, well, and you're in California, right? So there's a lot of indigenous, I'm sure there's a lot of indigenous stuff that you have to kind of watch out for and protect.
Well, it's not just that's called prehistoric. There's historic stuff is also, I mean, you got the Spanish and then the Mexican period, and then after 1769, that's when the Europeans first came to California. Alta California, that's where the first mission was built. So that history only goes up back to 1769 in California. But there's a lot of historic stuff. Remember, the gold rush happened. And then the next year, California became a state. So, I mean, there's a lot of history around. And so when I'm watching them dig, I'm looking for both stuff. I was working on a project, it's called Middlebury Institute in Monterey, and found a bunch of glass and stuff. And then when the boss was going through all the materials that I collected, she showed me this bottle. It was the bottom of the bottle and it had the 1852 stamp on it, on the bottom of a bottle. So yeah, there's a lot of both. And as far as the prehistoric stuff, you know, if you were going to be living anywhere in the Americas, I would think you'd want to live in California. There was supposedly over 1 million people living here before the Europeans showed up. And then after 200 years, it got down to like 15,000. So.
Yeah, I'd heard a lot of that was, what was that? I just read something new about, there was a pandemic that came through California, came through the US, right? Came through the New World. And then, but there's been debate for a long time. They said that this was from the Spanish, right? That they basically, they accidentally introduced all this disease that went out in front of them and wiped out indigenous peoples.
Yeah, they would bring people that had smallpox, they'd give them their blankets.
Well, that was later, right? But
what if the native people were killed by
And plus rats on the ships that came, you know, over created like a major hazard.
Plague. But the biggest thing that killed the native people was slavery. There's a book, if you ever are interested, called The Other Slavery, and it's about the history of the enslavement of the indigenous people of the Americas. The Spanish were really bad for that, and what they would do, like the island that Columbus landed on, Espanola, when they treated him as a visiting chief, and all the people came out and greeted him, and the chief of the village showed up, and he was like putting a big party on for him. And the first thing they noticed is he had a gold ring in his nose. And when they saw that gold, that was it. It was over for them people. And within 10 years, there were not original native person was left on that island.
Yeah.
The first 2 years, they sent 4,000 women and children to Spain to be house servants. So, and the men, they sent them off to work in the silver mines on the mainland. So yeah, it's a pretty brutal history. But the Americans were even worse. Like during the gold rush, they just slaughtered people. In fact, in 1850, when California became a state, the governor petitioned the Congress for $2.1 million for all the heads and scalps of the murdered Native people, and in 1853 they got it. So I mean, it's not like you read about in the history books. Although I like history.
It's a checkered history. We'd call it a checkered history. That's the polite version.
Yeah, well, but it's really interesting because it shows. It has a lot of our culture that we have today is built on all that stuff that happened back 100 years ago. So,
yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
I mean, we're still paying for it, and different geographic location where it's an Indian reservation camp, or the taxation. Some of these places have free tax just because paying penance back to that dark part of history.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they sent a lot of one of the other things they did is they would take the Native children and send them off to these boarding schools where they basically would punish them if they spoke their own language.
Yeah, they
kill the Indian to save the Indian.
I know. Well, and this is open to Scott. I know we're going way off topic. My wife has been following that too. There's one up in Canada. Have you read about that one, Michael?
Yeah,
and that one was really bad. That was
all the graves they found.
Well, no, and this, like thousands or something like that. Yeah, that was.
That's part of the problem with our cultures. We don't deal with that trauma, and we pass it on to our kids. So it's really the best thing to do is to talk about it and deal with it, so we don't do it again.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting presentation that you did. Yeah, so I just got yelled at because it was too far off our topic.
Modern day is as grotesque as the a couple of 100 years ago. How people were. The ideologies changed. Now we read it as a story. We don't read it as a lesson that to learn from, not to do. Because I think we've a little bit more have evolved than that.
Yeah, but things are changing, don't you think? Things are getting better. I think people are more open to talk about it.
I think also, and Michael, this would go to your psychology. This would go to the intergenerational trauma. One of the things my mother has said this. She keeps telling me on various topics. She's like, you have to remember, psychology is a part of our culture today, and it wasn't, right? Like even 50 years ago, not much. 80, and so you end up with stuff like we still have abusive marriages, we still have child abuse, we still have kids beaten with a belt, stuff like that. But the thing is that years ago that was just normal, right? It's like that's the way it is, and now that we have more therapeutic, it's just become more a part of our culture, and so we're still like that. Maybe it happens, that's not right, and here's why it's not right, and here's how it'll affect people. So.
Well, I think it affects, like I've said before, I think it affects this whole area of contact with other species and civilizations. I mean, if they see us killing ourselves over stupid stuff, I would tend to think they would want to stay away from us because we're too dangerous.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you got to ask. Yeah, you got to ask. I mean, what's ET going to say? I mean. look how they treat each other.
It's like your topic of that you were talking about with the nukes and how they were dealing with the nukes. I don't think they were doing that to be aggressive. Do you? I don't think they were
No,
trying to harm us. They were probably trying to save us from ourselves, don't you think?
so I have to read more through Robert Hastings' work. Again, the thing that really surprised me was, I caught that from Luis Elizondo as a passing comment. There were two things that I caught as kind of passing comments. I thought, these would be interesting to read up on. One of them was the travel through water, the transmedium. And then the other one was the nukes. And I thought, well, that one's a little easier in some ways. So I figured, hey, maybe I'll find 2 or 3 stories, because rumors always have a basis. I'm like, and I knew about Rendlesham and stuff. I was like, and I hit 40 and I was like, okay, that's, I was like, I got to stop. It's too easy. And then
40 is a magic number in statistics.
Well,
when you get 40 data points, that's enough to do statistics with a confidence of 5%. So you can you can do statistics with 40 data points. I learned about that when I was doing testing. But the point is 40 is a significant, statistically significant number.
There's a pile. I mean, Robert Hastings, and now the challenge with Hastings is anecdote and story versus like substantiated, right? And it looks like a lot of his stuff is well substantiated, but you've also got like anecdotes, right? Like, Bob says he worked security at this base and he says they saw this, and it's like, well, how credible is that? And I saw kind of a mixture. But the thing that did get me was, even though the way I looked at it was, even if half of the material in his book is just, myth or legend, that still leaves possibly hundreds of additional cases. And so that what I came away with was this feeling that there is absolutely an interest in nuclear devices. And honestly, just reading through all of it, the only thing that popped into my mind was curiosity. I didn't really sense any hostile intent. I didn't really sense that, a lot of people say they don't want us to blow ourselves up. That's why I don't really get that feeling. I just get the feeling it's more like curiosity. Like, what are these people doing? And I don't know.
What's messing with there?
Could be. Yeah, I mean, it very well could be that. One of the things I'd wondered was, these craft, I'm sure they can detect neutrinos, right? If they're super advanced vehicles, all of your nuclear assets would give off neutrinos, even despite shielding. So maybe it's just really obvious, maybe the reason that they're around nukes is because for them, it's like a light bulb in the dark,
Well, it's interesting because it goes back so far. It goes all the way back to the 40s, right? Is you showed data all the way back to like 45.
Back to the beginning, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
And every major, I noticed a few.
Interesting though is if you look at the technology that they used with the missiles and stuff like that, I mean, it's really primitive electronics like switches and relays and stuff like that. So like a magnetic relay, you could hit it with a certain kind of energy and make it turn off, right? And really, when we're talking about disabling a nuke back in the 60s, in the 50s, that's all it took. All it took was sending a magnetic pulse to the right area, and it would switch off. And basically, their sensor, all it was looking for was a dead short or an open. And you open it up, and all of a sudden, all your nukes are disabled. Okay?
Yeah,
I mean, it was a lot easier to disable our weaponry back then than is now. But then there was like when we were developing radar, obviously that disrupted their technology somehow. That's why we had crashes. That's why Roswell probably happened, was because we were hitting their technology with this really high powered radar system that you wouldn't sit next to one of those radars when it was running.
Well, it could be, and again, Mark's stuff is all microwave frequency, right? So radar's microwave frequency. So it's possible that if you have a propulsion system that uses that, then it doesn't have to turn it off, right? It just has to knock it far enough out of kilter that it doesn't work right anymore. You know,
Right.
gravity does the rest. So
Yeah, right. Or it could be like lightning hit it. Lightning is the same kind of thing. It's a high energy pulse. It's it's high frequency.
yeah, it's interesting. The other thing I noticed from digging in, and again, I don't have the expertise that most people do on this. I mean, who are into it, but I definitely did see the way that this information, not as a suppression, not government suppression, but like, okay, you have a bunch of airmen that see something, they file a report, and in several of these, you hear the investigator come out, the investigator be like, okay, and the first thing the investigator thinks is, well, I'm out in the middle of Montana and these guys haven't seen anybody for weeks, and so the first thing he's asking him is, how much do you guys have to drink, right? And so the problem that I see there is, on a case-by-case basis, it's pretty easy to dismiss it. And then there's this thought of, it's not very often that somebody like Robert Hastings comes along and looks at all the different cases. And the military, even, most of the time, I mean, these things, again, for us, we can say 1967, 1965. For them, it's been 2 years, and back then, right? Then they didn't have the internet and stuff like that. So something may or may not have happened a couple of states away. It's a rumor kind of a thing. So they handle them one at a time. And they're like, well, this is kind of weird, but what can we do about it? It's already happened. Nobody got any photos. Okay,
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with our national security system. Back then, I mean, when I was working for Hughes, hell, you couldn't leave a folder sitting on your desk.
yeah.
Or else you could get arrested.
It's very well, it was that World War II holdover.
Got arrested, right?
Yeah. Well, Mike's in my chat window. Mike, you probably had that at Boeing too, right?
Oh yeah.
I can tell you some good stories about hot packages.
Oh yeah, they had all these file cabinets and stuff where you had to like fill out a log book and then you had to take it, and then when you were done, you had to fill out the log book then, and then there were 2 locks, or not just one, but 2 locks on this box. Okay, if you had to walk across the parking lot with something classified, they gave you this metal briefcase and they handcuffed it to you. Okay, that's just to walk across the parking lot. So that every little document that was generated, they still got it, and they know what's in it, because that's just how if they didn't know there was a problem, that meant something got out.
Yeah, that was.
I think they like the drama.
These guys are antiquated, but in reality, they still got all that information. I'm sure it's all still there.
Well, no, isn't it? Don't they? Well, from what I've heard, that's the thing is, so they handcuff you to walk across the parking lot so they don't lose any, but the minute it turns 7 years old, and they take it out back and burn it, right?
Well, it depends on what it is, right? If it's now, one of the things I noticed is a lot of these secret programs were secret because they just didn't work, and they didn't want anyone to know they were a piece of crap, and the government was getting gouged. The taxpayers were paying for something that was useless, and that's why they made it secret, because they didn't want anyone to know that it was garbage that they were working on. And there was billions and billions of dollars spent that way.
like in World War II, when they trained the bats to carry, they trained the bats to carry firebombs into Japanese belfries?
Oh yeah, and remember the Japanese had the balloon bombs.
Yeah. So the Nazis are building UFOs, and that's the best we got, is exploding bats.
It's all over the world. We're not the only ones who waste money.
Yeah.
We're just good at it. That and breaking stuff. That's why I think Roswell was one of ours, because it broke.
Well, it was interesting. So hopefully today went pretty well, guys. I hope, seems like things went pretty well. Oh,
You can't expect aliens to travel trillions of miles through the universe and then get killed on Earth by microwave ovens.
Exactly. But us, on the other hand, we do all great stuff all the time. That's how we learn.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wrap it up on the live stream here, and we're
Yeah,
dropped over.
I gotta
anyway,
go.
Yeah,
to-
I think, well, I
It's
I
fun.
mean, it's pretty quiet now. Yeah, why don't I shut things down too then? So why don't we call it a day, guys? Thank you all for attending. Hopefully we did well. And
Yeah, I really liked your presentation, Tim. I thought that was timely.
well, thank you. So
Great
yeah,
presentation. A lot of good information there. A lot of things that I didn't know. I am glad I saw your presentation. It was
thank
wonderful.
you. Okay, well, let me let you go then, guys.
Yeah,
We'll
a
shut
lot
the
of
conference.
interesting things.
We'll shut the
Sorry,
conference
a
down
lot
for
of
this week,
interesting things.
and I will get another one scheduled, and we'll do this again in a couple of weeks if you're all able to.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. Thank you all for watching, and thank
That's
you for the
great.
super chats and everything else, man. Thank you. Take care, and we'll see you at the next one. All right, we're offline.
Okay, all set. So I'm gonna close this down as well. Have a wonderful evening, guys.
You
Thanks,
guys
man.
too.